So I love this screen. This is really encapsulates everything. So I've talked about the difference between absolute and relative, and we've talked about awareness and oblivion. So IO is aware and absolute awareness. The other is absolutely oblivious. And these are absolute concepts. So that's it. What more can we say about them? There's nothing more to say because they're absolute. You can't talk around them. All we can do is sort of try to be aware of them, right? But these are absolute concepts. And then you've got the relative concepts, where is relatively aware. That is the essence of awareness in reality, in the relative reality, and it is relatively oblivious in relative reality. And then we can look at these representations from other religions where we've got God, which is the absolute aware, right? And Christ, which is the relative, right? That's the manifestation of God in reality, Christ, right? Hinduism, you got Brahman and Atman. Same thing, same concept. Atman is Brahman in each of us, right? In Buddhism, you've got enlightenment, and then you've got the representation of that, the Buddha, who is enlightenment incarnated. And you got Plato with ideal and real. So all of these religions are trying to get the same concept across. They are representing the absolute and the relative. But these religions at the same time, they're also doing this duality thing where Taoism has yang and yin, which are basically, they're parallel. These aren't saying, look, they're not trying to say yang is like absolute and yin is relative. No, nothing about that in the concepts of Taoism. And in terms of Western, you've got God and the devil. They're not trying to say God is, absolute and the devil is relative, right? I mean, they sort of are, but it's kind of all muddled up in terms of Western, theology. This and that's why there's so much confusion because they're not making these distinctions between absolute and relative and awareness and oblivion, right? Or oblivious. So I don't know. This is a very simple chart that I think could enlighten a lot of people. Anyway, we're still carrying on with ISITism right now and understanding Io and the other gets us down into the world of objective reality where we actually exist. And the whole idea is the anatomy of objective reality is Io sees the other, says, I'm going in, man. I want to see what this is all about. And in that act, reality is created, which we refer to as is it, right? Is being the representation of Io in this third thing, which is not Io and it's not the other. It's this third thing, which is the synthesis of these two. It's Hegel's dialectic. That's what we're talking about here. So is the synthesis of Io and the other. And this is where we get all these infinite multitude variations of objects, right? So, but every object is, well, let's talk about the 10 immutable attributes of objects. So all objects are a combination of is and it. That's the first immutable that you cannot have because is you can't have is in reality without it. They go together, right? You can't have an object. Um, if it was pure is, we couldn't identify it in any way, shape, or form. If it was pure it wouldn't exist because it is ultimately just a figment of Io's imagination. But anyway, so yeah, is provides the essence and energy in objects. It provides the identity and structure of objects. All objects are subject to larger host objects. All objects are host to smaller subject objects. And I'm not going to get into all the details, but in the book, I make the case for each one of these assertions. All objects have a beginning, but the exact beginning point of any object is impossible to identify. Think of human life, right? At what point is conception, exactly officially, no, we can't ever tell, right? And that's just one example. What point does our atmosphere on the earth actually end? There's no single point where we can say, yep, here it is, and there it stops, right? Can't do it. And that is a principle that applies across the board. Um, all objects have an end. The exact ending point of any object is impossible to identify. Same thing. All objects have boundaries, right? Because they're separate. And so they must have a boundary. All objects have attributes. All objects are unique. There's no two objects that are exactly the same of any kind. People, animals, rocks, planets, anything, right? Atoms are going to have some sort of a difference. Now, I'm not going to, I don't know the science to prove that, but I have no doubt that that is the way it is. And all objects engage with other objects, all objects. There is no single object in reality that is 100% completely isolated from every other object. Can't happen. And the great object, aka ISIT, is beyond our ability to observe and comprehend. And all I have to say there is the known universe, right? I mean, we can only see so far into the universe, and then beyond that, it's beyond our ability to even see. So there you go. All right, so that is just like the basics of ISITism, and I have got the book of ISIT that I'll be finishing up this quarter. I'm planning to, and so if you want to learn more about ISITism, go check that out. But now, so this is the esoteric aspect, and you can see this is the ISIsh part, right? The sort of hard to define and the abstract aspect of this whole project. But now let's get into the itistic aspect of this project. And we're going to talk about how this is going to get implemented, how this is going to reflect in the real world that we live in, right? And we're going to start with the ISIT game. The ISIT game is a highly engaging set of mental and social games that allow players to collaboratively develop a consensus model of reality. By simply taking a series of engaging polls based on the ISIT construct, players will collectively produce a clear and logical framework and wisdom base with which artificial intelligence can be aligned. All right, here's a kind of a real quick review of kind of how the ISIT game will work. It's going to be this series of polls where it says, is this word more like is or it, or these two words, which are supposed to match up verb and noun with is and it. And this one is so obvious, right? Verb is a verb. It is a pronoun, right? So it's a real obvious match, right? Verb is going to match with is. So, sure enough. And, at this stage, we got to expect this game is going to have to be for people with a certain level of intelligence, as Joy just said, with eyes to see and ears to hear, right? So of those people, that should be pretty obvious what the answer is, and I would expect to get 100% agreement on that. Now, passive and active. Well, verb is an action word. So active is obviously going to go with is, right? Which is the verb, and passive is going to go with it. And boom. Now, I jump ahead here, fast forward, and we run a whole bunch of these word pairs. Verb versus noun, active, passive, dynamic, static, energy, matter, action, thing, and so on. And we start seeing that we can all agree on these. And now we're developing this consensus, right? That's the purpose of this game, and just like syncing us up with this shared model of reality, basically. But it doesn't end there, right? These matching, just the duality matching is just the beginning. Pretty soon we start getting into concepts that aren't quite necessarily so cut and dried. like the concept of humor. Is that is-ish or autistic? Well, I mean, humor, I mean, kind of is-ish, right? Laughing, you think of humor as uplifting, right? It's pretty is-ish, right? But then again, you've got sarcastic humor, you've got sardonic humor. There's, all kinds of different kinds of humor. Um, Deadpan, right? That's maybe more artistic, right? So humor, it doesn't necessarily fit in neatly into one of these or the other. So that's when we break it into a 5-point Likert scale from highly is-ish to somewhat is-ish, balanced, somewhat autistic, and highly autistic. And now we get people starting to maybe diverge a little bit, but among all of us, we're going to find this average, right? That we coalesce around, and it goes on from there, right? Then we can move up to the 10-point Likert scale for even more concrete types of concepts, like a cloud or an apple. But here I show us moving up to the 100-point Likert scale. And then we can go into even more sophisticated ones where we have two different aspects like autistic and is-ish and negative and positive, right? Where an apple is, well, I would say, yeah, an apple I've got here is pretty darn positive, right? It's quite positive, but it's very balanced between autistic and is-ish, right? It's got fiber, it's got shape, it's got, all that sort of stuff, but it's got juice and energy and that sort of thing. So but, that's just me sort of speculating about where the crowd would put it. Maybe the crowd puts it more like here. Who knows? But that's the idea. Again, we're all coalescing and developing this model of reality together. By the way, that was autistic versus is-ish versus not important. That one was good, whatever that was, whatever that one was. And then we can have other scales, right? Important, not important, or bad and good, right? Um, and so on, right? And that's just the beginning, right? I mean, we're going to come up as a collective with all kinds of different types of polls to allow us to noodle around this concept. All right, so where do we currently stand with the Is It game? Well, I've got the fourth version of this game up online right now. And so the current status of the Is It game is it's running on WordPress with this plugin called Quiz and Survey Master. And I am looking forward to getting our own proprietary version of this going because it's kind of lame as it currently is. But what I've also done is I've created an intake survey that's kind of the precursor of a game, which will be more like a personality test. I want to do a personality test, our own proprietary personality test, and that'll be another onboarding mechanism for people to get into it. So we do have that set up, though, no one has really engaged in any of these. All right, so that's the Is It game. Now let's talk about the Is It-ometer. So the Is-It-ometer, it's a portal into the wisdom base developed through the Is It game. So with the Is It game, we're all sitting there going through all these puzzles and creating this collective model of reality. And the Is-It-ometer is the portal that we access all of that knowledge through. It's doing data analysis of all the human data collected via the polls, augmented by AI to extract maximum meaning from aggregate data. So we're going to have AI looking at the results of this and saying, what's your take on this? What do you make of this? Right. And yeah, going in between those. Aggregate data is available to members subject to permissions. Really key thing, right? So as a group, an organization, we're building this knowledge base and wisdom base that we as a group get access to. It's going to be a huge asset for all of us. Private data, on the other hand, how each of us are individually answering these questions, is indelibly secure and under complete control of the members. Data sovereignty, I'll talk about that more, but that's a key part of this. members are going to be able to slice and dice data on any subject with simple visual representations, both their own individual responses and how they relate to the crowd, as well as the aggregate data. Private data can be monetized by sovereign, members with zero friction. In other words, if people want to know anything about another person, uh, their thoughts, whatever, people can share their thoughts. And if it's worth something to other folks, it's, I'm not going to try to go deeper into that. That's a big topic. Premium public aggregate data can be monetized by the collective. And what I'm talking about right here is the AI alignment concept. Our aggregate data where we're saying, look, as a collective, we have come up with a extremely robust and integrated model of reality here that makes perfect sense. And you, AI companies, if you want to validate your AI and have it aligned with a cohesive human group, yeah, we could do that for you. We can help you get your AI aligned so that it's legit, right? But it's going to cost you, right? That's where we can make money as an organization. A primary public data purpose can be AI training for alignment, which is what I was just talking about. All right, so that is the ISITometer, and I'm not going to go into more detail about that. Let's talk about the ItCoin and IsCoin aspect of this project. Um, yeah, I just wanted to throw in these animations because I paid like a couple $100 to get these animations done, and I think they're pretty cool. But so ItCoin, so we got two kinds of coin, the ItCoin and the IsCoin. The ItCoin proceeds deposited into the ISIT Development Fund to finance platform development, technology acquisition, services, and promotional programs. The ItCoin is a mechanism for us to raise cold, hard cash to move this project forward. It acts as a stable coin representing capital investments. It serves as a store of value. It's backed by high liquidity, real assets, inherent value of the ISITAS community, and it can be exchanged for other cryptocurrencies. The ItCoin currently exists already, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. IsCoin doesn't exist yet. The concept is it'll be distributed to members based on user engagement and contributions to development of content and the platform. The purpose rewards the community engagement and contributions. It functions as a medium of exchange within our platform. It confers voting rights within the governance framework, can only be converted to ItCoin. It does not get converted to other types of cryptocurrency. But it cannot be purchased with ItCoin. It can only be earned. IsCoin is earned, not purchased. So ItCoin is real. It actually exists. It's up there on Pump Fund, or it's actually on Dex. It's all over out there. It only has a market cap of 4.4, which is effectively nothing. There's no real value to it. There are no real investors in it, but it does exist and it could be activated at any time. By the way, at one point did have a market cap of 423,000. So we're currently sitting here at, 1/100th of what it once was and could be again. So 100x gains are, could happen at any time. And, ultimately we're looking for 1,000x gains on this. Okay. Yes, it's now available on Pump Fund right there. I'm not going to go into more about it here on this screen. This is just a screenshot of our Telegram group, which has 206 members. And every day, Trevor gets on there, and a few of these guys, like DigiEon and Carlos, I've got my little, core group of people. Here's my mod squad. These are the moderators of our Telegram group, and they, they're in it. They see the vision, and good for these guys. So ItCoin is just really standing by waiting for investors to come in and see the value of it. But look, I want to talk about the ItCoin strategy. The idea here is that we're leveraging an itistic market to fund an isish purpose. We're leveraging it, okay? Positioning, it's the Arkenstone of hidden gems, a hidden gem coin. It's only valued at 4.4 thousand, $4,400 right now, right? But it's got the potential to, go off the charts, man. It's uh, established purpose, longevity, commitment, right? None of this matters to degen crypto investors. Fact of the matter is, they don't care about the vision. They don't care about the profundity of the philosophy. None of that. All these degen crypto investors care is the value going up? Are people buying it? If other people are buying it, then I want to buy it. And that's the environment that we're in. Now, if we just coordinate our ISITAS members, we can pump the value and pull in all these crypto investors, right? We can lead them around by their nose, basically, by pumping up the value. They say, hey, wow, this community's moving. Let's get in on this. Because they just follow the buying signals. That's all. And so understanding this, if we can marshal real followers who get the project and are like coordinating together, we have the ability to go in a coordinated way, pump up the value, then boom, in comes all these Bitcoin investors. Hey, Rich, can you mute yourself? Or Lee, if you can mute him. Let's see, repeatedly pump the coin to generate creator fees. Yeah, we can work this market, right? All we got to do is coordinate ourselves. And live streaming on Pump Fund in teams will attract these folks. Okay. All right, so that's all I'm going to say about Bitcoin for now. So Agora, right? I don't know how much you've heard me talk about Agora yet, Lee, but this is pretty much a new concept for me. I got together with ChatGPT and we brainstormed a little bit, and I like the sound of Agora, right? This is our platform for all of us to coordinate our efforts around. And I came up again with the help of ChatGPT, with the acronym meaning awareness, governance, objective reality alignment, which I think makes pretty good sense. Awareness, the purpose is raising our collective awareness. And guess what? This is the is-ish aspect of what the Agora is about. Governance, that's the autistic aspect. Governance, management of the community is managed through a decentralized engagement organization. And objective reality alignment, that's the synthesis of it. That's what we're doing here, is we are aligning our collective view of what objective reality is. How cool is that all just like lined up with that? I really like the way this acronym turned out. And basically, the Agora platform allows the ISIT Awareness Society to collaborate on solving humanity's greatest challenges. And this image is just basically supposed to show how all these different members are discussing, primarily through, taking polls. That's the first level, but eventually, more discussions. And we're working out all kinds of stuff in terms of, law and art and music and you name it, right? All these things that we're all collaborating on together. Okay, boy, I'm going to whip through these real fast. The ISITAS community platform, community developed and owned, built on blockchain, data sovereignty and privacy is the key. Expands from the kernel of the ISIT game with a native game layer, and then just starts to expand from there to a communication console, to a collaboration platform, an application docking portal, which is such a huge concept I want to go into, but I don't have time. But we're basically going to recreate all the applications on the web in our own native platform, just little by little. All the useful things that we need from the web, we start mm, recreating them in our own portal. Standardized, intuitive user face, integrated AI with an AI assistant coach, assistant slash coach for every member. Frictionless exchange through crypto NFTs, crypto and NFTs, radical sharing economy. God, I could do a whole presentation on that, and I will at some point. Expanding from online to real world, right? Going from URL, our own little community online, to actually having communities in the real world. The technology stack, I've kind of already addressed this, but it starts with the ISIT game. We go into project collaboration with the integrated game layer. Members of our community are building a software layer, the web and mobile platform. Eventually, we're going to have our own hardware, handheld devices, eyeglasses, beacons, right? Like the repeaters. And eventually, our own network layer, our own web servers, our relays, our own wireless systems, our own satellites. Now, I'm going out into the future on this a little bit, but that's the scope, that's the scale that I am talking about here. Okay, and let's just talk about the owner, the business model structure. The traditional business model is driven by capital. Angel VC investors, they're the ones with all the capital. They put the investment in. They have some founder executives who they like, who they probably know because they all run in the same circles. And they give them the money, let them manage it, and those people pay salaries, wages, fees to employees and contractors. These are the people that actually build it. These are the people that actually make the company work. Uh, but they don't get ownership unless they're like Silicon Valley, they get some stock options or whatever. They just get their salaries, right? But they're the ones that provide the products and services to the customers, and then the customers pay their money and the profit rolls up to the investors and the executives. Um, and that's how the system works. Okay. The ISITAS organization model is completely different. It is user owned and developer owned, right? So every member of this organization and everyone chooses the roles. They can have one or two or three of these roles, whatever they happen to be. But managers, developers, validators, investors, admin, users, promoters, creators, all of it. We're all the same, and we're just contributing, and we own it, and we use it, and we build it, right? That's the model that we're going to be based on. That
Just
is
got the
it.
message for 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Oh, shoot. I'm way ahead of time then. Wow. I could have talked at a more leisurely pace because we are up to the final screen. Yeah. So this is the business model. Well, then I'm gonna let's see what more do I want to say about this? Oh, I guess I'll mention DEO, and I mentioned this before, decentralized engagement organization. I'll just say a little bit about that since I have some extra time. Uh, DEO is a takeoff on DAO, which stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, which is an organization where basically, everything is mediated through programs, smart contracts on running on blockchain, and the company just runs on its own, right? And delivers its service automatically. You don't need employees at all, right? A DEO is like that in terms of the mechanics of making the system work. That's all handled by uh, smart contracts and technology. But the E part for engagement, the whole purpose of this organization is to keep humans engaged, to give them something to engage with. So uh, you've got the platform, the technology infrastructure is a DAO basically, but what it is enabling is all these people to engage with each other or with the system, whether that's taking polls right through the Is It game or collaborating with each other on building the system or collaborating with each other on creating uh, products that will spin out of this system. Either way, we're engaging with each other, and it's the engagement That's the point of this project. And just to expand on that a little bit more, uh, this is a solution to the transition from the labor-based capitalist system that we're in right now to a post-labor economics, right? We can't just go from a labor-based system to a post-labor economics, seamlessly. What this does is it gives people something to do where they're getting compensated for doing something, for engaging with the system. It's a replacement for work, right? For jobs, but it gives them something to do and a way to earn their share in this overall organization. Now, I see eventually uh, that whole thing kind of fading out where it's like, yeah, we don't really need to keep track of, how much work you did, how much you did in the, and getting compensated directly for how much work you did. It's just like, no, we all have everything we need, right? That's where we're going to a time when we all have everything else we need, and the stuff we do to keep ourselves, engaged in reality and is just for that, for the sake of being engaged in reality. It's its own reward. We don't need to earn anything. But we can't just go from a job where you have to earn everything through a job to, oh, we don't have to earn anything. It's all given to us, right? By who? By some authority, some government? What? No, this is a way for us to transition into that, into that mode. So that's a little bit more about DEO since I had the time. Okay, but I see I got like 4 minutes left, so I am going to wrap this up because these are our final screens. Look, yeah, this is just, the ISIT construct. It is what it is. And by the way, we're going to be able to own that term, right? Once we get a lot of people and we start using that term, such a common term, and that could become synonymous with the ISIT awareness system. You know what I mean? So we got so much potential as far as that. But anyway, it is what it is, and it is all good. That is the ultimate philosophy of the ISIT awareness system. This world, and that's like straight out of Genesis, God created the world and he said it is very good. And that is our founding principle, is that this creation that we're in is good. It's good and we love it, and we want to make the most of it. And that's going to be our attitude going forward, which is going to be quite a different take from the current, zeitgeist, which is, man, this world sucks. That's how a lot of people are feeling about it these days. And so we're going to change all that. Okay, boy, I got 3 minutes to spare and I'm pretty much wrapped up. What else should I say? Oh, wait, I do have something more to say. Look, so now this is the final part, our plans. What are the plans for the future, right? So this is exponential launch sequence stage 1, where the only real member is me. I'm the only actual official member of this organization. And for the next 3 months, between now and March 31st, I am in the process of trying to recruit 10 new members, official members of the project. Okay. And during this 3-month period, I've got some objectives in addition to finding those 10 people. And those are to launch the Is It game version 1. That's one that I build, on from scratch, proprietary version, not a WordPress version, with at least 100 humans getting in there and playing with it and completing level 1, getting 10 people to validate the 200 axioms that have already been validated by AI, getting that Itcoin market cap up to 100K solidly. I'm going to write 50 articles. That's an average of one every other day for Substack. I'm going to produce 50 reaction videos. That's one every other day for YouTube. That's going to be to chosen ones, but also to other various types of reaction videos. I'm going to produce multimedia presentation, a new one. I want to create one that's, basically about the ISIT construct itself. And I'm going to finish the book of ISIT. All of these are my objectives that I will accomplish during this 3-month period, and with the ultimate objective of recruiting that next round of 10 people for stage 2 of the system. With less than 1 minute to go, I'll just say, yeah, we've got some goals for followers. We've got all these social media accounts set up, and we just need more followers. And we've just got a little tiny, like I've got 50 followers right now on YouTube. We've got 200 on Telegram. I've got about almost 500 on X. The others are basically dead in the water. But we need to get some more folks involved. And so these are my goals for this. And I think those are achievable goals because I have everything in place. Now it's just a matter of getting out there and spreading the word and getting people engaged.